Meeting of the Lake Orion Village Council for Monday, August 10, 2026 to order. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Rutt.
Here.
Pro Tem Ford.
Here.
Councilmember Comparoni.
Here.
Councilmember Danielides.
Here.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Mosher.
Here.
And Councilmember Papachek.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 4, presentations, we have none. So item number 5, approval of the agenda by order of the president. No matters will be discussed after 9:30 p.m. unless the council votes to continue the meeting. Mr. Danielides.
So I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, call to the public. Each person wishing to address the village council shall be afforded an opportunity to do so. If you wish to comment, please stand or raise a hand to indicate you wish to speak. When recognized, give your name and address and direct your comments to the chair. Comments are limited to 4 minutes, and this would be on non-agenda items. Is there anyone for call to the public on a non-agenda item?
Donald Kindred. I live right over here. I don't know if anybody's noticed lately, but if you go on the internet, the Piers Village Council is all over the internet. There's a reason for this. Somebody on that village council who holds a seat thinks he's above our Constitution. Thinks he's above our Bill of Rights, thinks he's above our Declaration of Independence. He thinks he's above we, the people. I got to listen to some of the comments and seen some of the things that were said on that forum, and it kind of reminded me of the Lake Orion Village Council in a way. Except there's a few different discrepancies here and there. Their people get stepped on by their mayor. Our people get stepped on by our police department and our village council. Every time we suggest something, we get shot down. I think it's time our village council realizes that they work for we, the people. We have that right there and that right there to hold you people accountable to the seats you sit in and the decisions you make. You might not like what we say. You might not like some of the things that we insinuate. You might not like some of the things that we announce. You might not like some of the things that we suggest. But we do have one thing: freedom of speech. And I've noticed in a lot of these village meetings, people keep getting shot down and shut up and carried out of village meetings by tyrannical pigs who don't follow their oath of office. They tried to do that to me here one night. I got a ticket in the mail the next day. I had to go to court for the judge to throw it all in the trash because Jerry Narsh is a jerk. He doesn't follow his oath of office. He shouldn't even be carrying a badge in Holly. I think it's time for a lot to change around here. And it's about to, whether you people like it or not. I know it might sound harsh, and it might sound rash, but we don't care anymore. We really don't care. We're sick of the crap that we have to go through to make our point known. I've been falsely arrested, accused of crimes I've never committed. Why do you think I come here to bitch all the time? Because I can, and because people need to hear what's going on in this village. Why? Because nobody around here lets the village know what's going on. Everything likes to get shoved under the carpet.
That's your 4 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Kindred.
I'll finish at the end of it.
Is there anyone else for call to the public on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close call to the public. Item number 7, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are approved by one vote, and I'll read those off. Item A, approval of special event sick race stop. B, approval of special event Lake Orion High School Homecoming Parade. C, approval of Village Council regular meeting minutes of July 27, 2026. D, approval of Village Council special meeting minutes August 3rd, 2026. E, receive and file Board of Zoning regular meeting minutes July 2, 2026. Item F, receive and file the Parks and Recreation regular meeting minutes June 23, 2026. G, receive and file of the correspondence from Jason Lewandowski. H, receive and file of invoice distribution report for August 11th, 2026. I, receive and file financial statements for July 2026. J, approval of job description for police officer. K, approval of village manager's designation of acting village manager August 11th through August 21, 2026. And L, receive and file July 2026 Police Department Activity Report. Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I'd like to remove 7B from the consent agenda.
Okay. Mr. Papachek?
I'd like to remove A and I.
Right. Mr. Lamb?
I think G, we'll remove G.
G is also included in the item.
Oh, that was my question. Is item G going to be included in the, in item 10B?
It was included.
It
in
is
the packet of
included?
the-
Okay, then
Yep.
we'll leave it on the consent agenda. Okay.
All right, I move to approve the consent agenda with items A, B, and I removed for further discussion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7A, Mr. Lamb. Or Mr. Papachek, sorry.
Yeah. No, I like the sick race stop. We heard a lot about it. It was just, I wanted to make sure we had clarity on one of the items here. It was, I noticed in the action summary, I think the sheet said the event is 4 p.m. till midnight, but then the resolution said use of public streets and right-of-way 2 p.m. till midnight. Is that the street closure versus the event start time, or just to clarify the times there so people know what
Yes,
to?
that's exactly what it is, the event is from 4 to midnight. However, we have 2-hour parking in downtown, so we'll start closing the streets down at 2 o'clock to not allow anybody else to park. So that's an administrative function, but the event is from 4 to 12, but the event will actually be from 2 with the street closures.
Great, perfect. That'll help so people know what's happening on the 21st, right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Then if no one else has any comments, I'll move to adopt resolution number 2026-30, approving sick race stop special event permit and the license agreement between the Village of Lake Orion and Sick Pizza, represented by Scott Taylor, for the event to be held August 21st, 26, and to authorize the Village Council President and Village Clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the village.
Second?
Any other comments? Public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7B, approval of special event Lake Orion Homecoming Parade. Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull it off the consent agenda just to recognize the fact that how much the schools do for the community and having the Lake Orion High School Homecoming Parade, which is a huge tradition. I remember when the schools were completely downtown and not out in the township, and now they're almost all out in the township. So it's nice that we can still bring some of that activity downtown. It's a great location for it. There was some confusion earlier because of payments, et cetera, but it being the schools, pursuant to Village of Lake Orion Council Resolution number 2025 and -006, a resolution establishing a policy for the waiver of village fees and charges for programs and services. This event qualifies for a waiver of all applicable village fees associated with a permitted activity. There was some confusion earlier about fees for this and talk of maybe it not happening. But because of that resolution, we're able to have that. And the sponsor, Lori Hogan, is here. And Lori, would you like to come up from the microphone for a minute?
Yes, thank you. My name is Lori Hogan. I'm a 25-year teacher at Lake Orion High School. I worked with Coach Ford for years. I wanted also to introduce myself to those of you, the village people here in the audience. I do want to give the village a little bit of a background of why that parade is so important to our community and why it's so important that we do it on a Sunday. And I think that's always a question that people wonder, why are we not doing it during the actual homecoming week? And I think it's important that we're transparent about that. Our community is so tight-knit in this area, and the downtown that we have here in Lake Orion is just such a neat downtown area. When we used to do the parade on Friday before the homecoming football game, a lot of our elementary students couldn't attend because they were still on buses getting home from school. And we had some traffic issues with going north on M24 on a Friday night. It caused a lot of stress for families trying to get back down to the parade at that time. So when we decided to move it to a Sunday, we really liked the idea of kicking off Lake Orion's High School's homecoming week with a community event that everyone can attend. And I know our businesses love it. They stay open on that Sunday. It's a wonderful opportunity to bring people down into our community that maybe haven't been in the downtown area. So I'm just so thankful that this community allows us to do this. And I do want to let you know, Eisenhower High School has now taken this under their wing as well. They do their homecoming parade on a Sunday also. And we're really trying to move Oxford in that same direction to try to get them, which is a really neat way to kick off the week. And I think it's important that we there's a lot of question, why don't you do it on Friday? Well, traffic in schools is really the real reason. And so we're so thankful and so happy that we can still do this really cool, unique event on Sunday to kick off our week. So I want to appreciate your help and support on that, and then the members of our community as well. So thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Like to make the motion to adopt resolution number 2026-028, approving the Lake Orion High School Homecoming Parade Special Event Permit and the license agreement between the Village of Lake Orion and the Lake Orion Leadership Class, represented by Laura Hogan, for the event to be held on October 4th, 2026, and to authorize the Village Council President and Village Clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the village.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any other council comments? Public comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item I, receive and file financial statements for July 2026. Mr. Papachek.
Yeah, just pulled this down just for one question or potential clarification. I was going through it, and the one thing that kind of stood out to me, if you go to page 95, there was one, the local street funds, I think is the only fund there that has a projected negative end fund balance, I don't know, 24,533 and change. I don't know if we have all the right people to ask or answer. I know there were some unforeseen circumstances, but I was just wondering, and maybe we touched on this before, is that timing for some of the street funds? Because I know there's some grants and other things coming and going, but that negative end fund balance just caught my eye.
So I may or may not be able to answer that question, but can you give what's the GL line number you're looking at?
Well, I was looking at the end fund balance at the bottom of page 95, the negative 24,533.24 in the amended budget column. So I was just going, the total revenues, 727,000, total expenditures, 783. It just caught me by surprise that that one was negative, and all the others. weren't. I figured there's probably an explanation.
No, I'm sure there is,
Yeah.
but if you ever have issues or comments, by all means, reach ahead of time so I have an opportunity,
Yeah.
or the manager has an opportunity to research it, because
Gotcha.
this is going to take a little bit of research on my part. I don't have that answer off the top of my head.
Yep, yep.
But I can get you an answer once, yeah, 24/5/33/24.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I will research that and get back to the entire council on that.
Okay, thank you.
Move to receive and file the financial reports for July 2026.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have no public hearings today, so item 10, other items, 10A, FOIA appeal Kindred. Chief Edmondson.
Thank you, Madam President. On July 8th, 2026, the village received a Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request from Mr. Kindred delivered in person. The village granted the request in part by providing the requested oath of office. The village denied the remaining portion of the request pursuant to MCL 15.243, Section 1, subsection S9, which permits a law enforcement agency to exempt personnel records from disclosure when the public interest in the disclosure does not outweigh the public interest in non-disclosure. The village determined that this requested records constitute personnel records of law enforcement agency, and that the public interest in this particular request in disclosure does not outweigh the public interest in non-disclosure under MCL 15.243. On July 24th, 2026, the village received a FOIA appeal from Mr. Kindred delivered in person. In his appeal, Mr. Kindred contends that complaints filed against law enforcement officers should be disclosed under the Freedom of Information Act. The village council is requested to review the documentation, the FOIA appeal, and determine whether to uphold or reverse the denial. The supporting documentation has been attached for council's review.
Thank you. Council.
Teresa?
Mr. Lamb?
I just have a couple questions, Chief. So reviewing the request, I see a form on page 1, I'm sorry, I gotta switch glasses, 149.
Yep.
And the request is, I would like copies of all charges and complaints against Officer so-and-so of the Village of Lake Orion Police Department, including a copy of the oath of sworn duty to protect and serve our community. Is that a acceptable request?
Well,
That individual request considered by itself?
you know, I think all FOIA requests are acceptable requests. It just, is there
Are there
exemption to
records
it?
in that request that can't be disclosed, that particular portion?
Yeah, so that particular request was, in part, the oath of office was provided. However, the personnel file of the particular officer was not disclosed and is exempt per MCL.
So charges and complaints against the officer are considered personal information in his personnel file?
Yeah, it's personnel information, personal file.
Yeah.
On FOIA law, the exemption is if there is an extreme public interest in a particular case, then it can be or potentially can be released. But if there's not a public interest in the case, then it doesn't outweigh the balancing test of the officer. So for example, if we had a body camera that went viral and we were getting news media, that would be something I would determine, our administration would determine that the public interest would outweigh the request, and therefore that most likely would be released in a situation like that. But there is no, on the weighing the balance schedule, there isn't really anything that shows an extreme public interest on this. And it also is extremely broad too. If there was a specific case.
This first one didn't seem so broad. I just was kind of looking at the first one, so we could try to I could get a handle on what's reasonable to request. If charges and complaints against the individual officer, are those private or public information? Just that, not?
They are attached to the officer's personnel files.
Okay, so they're not
They are in-
generally FOIAble, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
generally, and they are exempt, which just for the public is, the statute is, it is exempt. to disclose personnel records of law enforcement agencies, is what the specific exemption says in the MCL.
Okay, so I just want to get through this, so I'm not, and then the next request, he's asking for information required by all law and complaints filed against any officer working for the state in which they work.
So there is.
So that one seemed a little broad, and then the police that work in the Lake Orion, as well as all police officers and village employees. So what I'm trying to say is the first one didn't seem particularly broad. So the reason for denial for that one wouldn't be necessarily broad. The next one seemed a little broad. I could understand your denial for it being too broad, not being specific about particular information. So just to be clear, your denial is based on the request is too broad, and the other one, it's exempt personal records under a state law. Is that why it was denied?
No.
Okay, can you
So
make sure, I
what-
just want to be clear what's denied, and then.
The process is, there's only one request in this packet. It's the initial request. The second request, the second form you're referring to, that's not a request. That is an appeal, and those are the reasons for the appeal. So
Okay.
the
Okay.
only thing in this packet that has been denied is the first request, and that was denied pursuant to the disclosure of personnel records for law enforcement personnel. That is an exempted category, not for the overbroadness of the request.
So the appeal has expanded the FOIA request then?
The appeal was articulating the reason for the reason for the denial.
Okay, I misunderstood. It looked like they were asking for, at that point, they were demanding every record for every officer. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you. The Freedom of Information question is very important to me. Right now, there are numerous Freedom of Information requests out there that have not been answered and been denied. So I'll make sure that we follow the law, not just stonewall people. So that's, I appreciate it.
Mr. Papchak?
Yeah, that was going through my head too, because I did read in the comments there that it felt a little bit off base to me where it said in the request that people are entitled to all information requested, because I went through the same thing, section 15.243, listing all the exemptions, and you don't get all information if it's, I mean, there's pages of it. If it's an invasion of someone's privacy, if it interferes with law enforcement proceedings, confidential sources, you know, there's a whole host, but I think what you said, I saw that in there too. If the public interest disclosure outweighs the public interest in non-disclosure, it seemed like that was the key. And if that, I assume you probably looked at that and weighed it, I would think, with legal perspective to see which side of that scale weighs heavier. So I tend to align with what you were saying there, and
I can clarify better.
but I didn't know if there would, it sounds like there was maybe a middle ground, like it's not you don't have to disclose everything, or you don't have to not disclose everything. You can disclose some of it, or some of it could be redacted to try to get, I don't know the specific of what the request was looking for, other than all complaints, but I was just trying to see if there's some sort of middle ground, I guess.
Yeah, the two motions on the floor will be either to uphold the denial or to overturn the denial. There will not be a third or middle ground on this
Okay.
one.
All right.
Other council questions, comments? I'll make a motion to uphold the denial of Mr. Kindred's FOIA request on the basis that the requested records are exempt from disclosure pursuant to MCL 15.243 subsection, or section 1, subsection S9.
Support.
Any other council? Public comment?
Say anything? Okay. All right. The reason for that request is because there was a sexual assault posted against Chris Myers on the internet. This officer filed a false police report against me and tried to have me arrested, and I am allowed to get his information. The information I asked for is 100% legal. I didn't ask for his residence. I didn't ask for his birthday. I didn't ask for his phone number. I asked for complaints and charges that were filed against an officer that works for the village of this, that works for this village and these people. And I am entitled to get that information. No matter what you think you can get away with, I am allowed to get that information. So you can deny it all you want. You better stop and go home and read these two things and stop and think about what you're doing. Because I'm here to tell you, you're not doing the right things. I am entitled to know what Chris Myers has charges against him, just like I'm entitled to know what charges are against Mark, if any, what charges there are against Chris Richardson, what charges there are against Todd Stanfield, what charges there are against Narsh, what charges there are against Rossman. I'm allowed all of this information just by asking it. This is why it's called the Freedom of Information Act. I didn't ask for anybody's personal information. I asked for information that all these people are entitled.
Please make sure you are facing the council.
I don't need to look at you. I know what I'm entitled to do. I know the rules and regulations. I know my constitutional rights better than you do. I think it's time you go home and read them, young lady, and your Bill of Rights, and your Declaration of Independence, your Bill of Rights, and your Constitution, because you people are seriously confused. You need some serious going over. You can't keep denying people Freedom of Information Act requests because you just don't want to. And you try to find loopholes. I sat here and watched my friend Frank walk out of here in tears over a Freedom of Information Act request. You people got to get off your high horse. You forget who you work for here. This isn't a joke. Why do you think we're trying to get this village disbanded into the Charter Township of Oakland County? We're tired of the games. We're tired of all the cover-up crap. We're tired of every time we ask for something, it gets pushed aside. I'll file another FOIA request. I'll get my information. You people like playing your little games. You all know exactly what's happened to me. Narsh explained it all to you quite clearly. I think it's time everybody in the village started learning about what's happened to me. And some of my friends that live in this village that have been forced to move out of here by strong-armed cops that like to talk to their landlords and intimidate them. They tried to intimidate mine. That didn't work so good. Stanfield got sent away with his tail between his legs, and so did Rossman. And they both went to two different landlords, my lady landlord and my male landlord, because they didn't want me here in the village anymore.
Your 4 minutes are
Too
up.
bad.
Thank you, Mr. Kindred.
I'll finish at the end of the meeting.
Anyone else for public comment? In the back? Chief.
I just want to clarify something that was just said, because this, in my opinion, does have a public interest when there's allegations of an officer committing sexual assault. This I will provide with no FOIA, but there is no complaints, no charges, no allegations of any of our officers that have been implicated in any sort of sexual assault. That information is blatantly false. And I think this is the second time I've heard that information. And if freedom of speech and what your public speaking up here is one thing. However, when you make defamatory, untrue statements, it's going to have to be forwarded over to our legal for potential legal
Posted on the
action.
internet.
So there is no allegations or anything. So I want to make sure, because when stuff like that gets in the public, it erodes the trust with the community, and we've really made an effort to start building this trust back over the last 2 years with the community. So if anyone ever has a question, I will release that. I will put that on, and I will respond to the FOIA with that specific allegations if that is the true intent of the FOIA. So I just want to make that clear to the public and also to the council.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Mr. Lamb?
Well, you know, the internet's a bad place to make allegations against people. I feel if the citizen wants to make those kind of allegations, he should do them appropriately, you know, on a piece of paper or something, and put it into the office. So, the petitioner's explanation of this particular FOIA request was answered by the chief. In my understanding, the chief just said that this allegation, he just answered it. So I don't see any reason to move forward on any more unless a new request is submitted.
I'm going to leave my motion to uphold the denial just because it did not say that specifically. The FOIA request said all charges and complaints filed against the officer. So if there were something else in there that, you know, could be. So I think because he did file a FOIA appeal as well procedurally, we have to either uphold or reverse. So we do have to vote on that.
Well, I'm willing to, my second, can I talk again? I'm willing to vote against this particular complaint because the chief explained that they couldn't release that information. If there's more specific requests he would like to make, I suggest he do that.
I will.
So we have a motion and support, and the motion is to uphold the denial of Mr. Kindred's FOIA request. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10B, introduction and first reading of zoning ordinance text amendment, standby generator mechanical units. Chief Edmondson.
Council is scheduled to consider introducing and giving first reading to a zoning ordinance text amendment that would, number one, removal of the noise decibel limit of 55 decibels at 10 feet. Number two, limit operations to only during power outages or during scheduled maintenance testing. Number three, limit scheduled maintenance testing to Monday through Friday between the hours of 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. This amendment was considered and recommended for approval by the Planning Commission in response to complaints received by the village regarding the placement of a standby generator. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on the proposed amendment during its July 6, 2026 regular meeting and voted to recommend to the Village Council the adoption of these amendments. Attached in your packet is the copy of the report from the village's planning consultant regarding the proposed amendments. Also attached is correspondence received from a property owner regarding these proposed amendments.
Thank you. Council.
So I don't know what the correct order might be, but I've read the revisions to the ordinance, I've read the old ordinance, I've done some investigation on my own as to some of the, I'm not going to say some of the complaints, but some of the characteristics of generators, and it's my belief that this needs to go back to the Planning Commission for reconsideration. So I don't know if you want me to make a motion to that effect.
I support your motion. Oh, you didn't just make a motion to
He
that
hasn't
effect?
made a motion.
Yeah, I
quite
haven't
yet.
made it yet, but so the motion here is that we accept this, so to speak, and for the first reading and keep moving forward. I cannot support that. I think this needs to go back for reconsideration. I can give you a whole host of reasons, my rationale for that.
Go ahead and make a motion.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we do not accept this as a first reading and that we refer this back to the Planning Commission for reconsideration.
I'll support that.
And then did you have any other comments you wanted to make on that?
I do. So in my mind, addressing the noise level by eliminating the measurement, makes it totally subjective. That just makes no sense to me. It may not be the right number, okay, but to take the number off of there and make it totally subjective, I don't think makes sense. There are particular areas, and particularly my area on the lake, where we have five-foot setbacks, and the houses are 5 feet from the property line. So there's only 10 feet. If you look at my house and my neighbor, there's 10 feet between us. And if you look at where the generators could be or would be, they're going to be a problem. And I think that there are other solutions that could be looked at to not have that nuisance. We could be looking at the front yard, we could be looking at the lakeside, and we could screen them. That would give opportunity to get the generators more central in the lot where the person that wants the generator could be, instead of right between the houses, reverberating between the two walls of the houses. I've looked at the specs on the Generac, which it looks to be the typical generator, and they're rated at 23 feet, somewhere between 66 and 67 dB. The data suggests that doubles as you reduce the distance. So if you get down to 11.5 feet, you're going to be at 74 to 75 dB. That's clearly a nuisance. A nuisance noise level in my mind. I also think that the 10-foot to the adjoining or adjacent home windows, the idea of being 10 feet from a window is it's of safety, right? It's for carbon monoxide. Why should the ordinance only look at the adjacent household? Aren't we concerned about the safety of the person putting the generator in? I mean, if I look at some installations, the person's got the generator right under their own windows. But if the adjoining property owner wanted to put a generator there, he'd be within those 10 feet. We wouldn't let him. But his generator is right underneath the windows. So if it's safety, then a window ought to be a window, regardless of whose house it's on. And then for the specific situation that we're talking about here, I've looked at that also, and there are clearly, in my mind, some alternatives besides having that generator within that short or small 10-foot. That could go in the backyard very easily. That particular installation has already got 2 air conditioning units in the backyard. That generator could go right next to them. Wouldn't interfere with a window, wouldn't interfere with anything. It'd be in the backyard. Or it could go in the front yard and be aesthetically screened so that it's aesthetically pleasing from the roadside. So I think there are alternatives here, and I think that the proposed revisions, to me, it needs to go back to the Planning Commission for reconsideration.
Thank you. Mr. Papachek?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It surprised me a little bit, too, that they would drop that objective decibel level rather than correcting it or fixing it to something else. I think Mr. Lewandowski made some good points in the letter and had a lot of other data on noise standards from other communities. So, yeah, I'd like to see if it would go back to put an objective number out there. Maybe that's consistent with the manuals or other communities. Because I think if you drop that decibel level standard, then if you do get an unusually loud generator, you really can't do anything about it, right? I don't know how you would enforce anything. So I like the idea of having a number there and this going back just for a little bit more thought here.
Mr. Lamb?
I don't want to be a parrot, but squawk, squawk, squawk. So after the last meeting, I had mentioned that, what's the difference if I brought my, 5,000 kilowatt construction generator out and started running it. And I realized that, permanent installation versus the temporary installation are 2 different animals, and that wasn't an appropriate consideration. And then I drove through the neighborhood some more, and I noticed that in the dense portions of the village, quite often the houses are quite close. And I noticed my neighbors had taken provisions to make sure those generators weren't in those tight spots. So I'm thinking that maybe we should assist the residents by giving them some guidelines that would facilitate the generators not being in the two tightest spots. There's no reason why we can't do that. It's not a big workout.
Any other council comments? Mr. Papchak?
Yeah, sorry, just one other, I don't know if it was in here or not, or maybe when it goes back, we'd get clarification if it goes back. Because I don't remember reading it, if this applies to existing generators that are already installed or new ones that are going to be put in. I wasn't clear on that, but, you know, however this gets adopted and resolved, it would be nice to have clarity there, unless I missed it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can speak to
Yeah,
that.
so with any zoning amendment or change, there'll be something called pre-existing non-conforming. So if it was a violation and the ordinance changed, the people, you know, the term is used in zoning pre-existing non-conforming. It existed prior to the zoning ordinance change, and it does not conform to current or zoning ordinance standards. So
Okay.
that would happen.
Got it, thanks.
Any public comments?
Hello, Jason Lewandowski, 152 Bellevue. I appreciate your reconsideration of this amendment. As I mentioned before, or actually I should say that the council action summary sheet states that the amendment was brought forward in response to complaints, and I was just curious about what those complaints were. If the complaints came from neighboring residents about the noise or proximity, then removing the measurable 55 decibel does not help them, obviously. It weakens their protection. If the complaints came from the property owners who were installing and could not meet the existing standard, then the village is changing a 15-year-old rule primarily to accommodate non-compliance. Couple of the operating restrictions, I appreciate that generators can only be operating during power outages or between 12 and 4. But again, it seems like who requested those restrictions? I mean, are there documented nuisance complaints right now with generators running 24/7 outside normal hours? It just seems like a solution looking for a problem. Adding the restrictive operating rules while simultaneously eliminating the only measurable noise standard is just not consistent, or it's inconsistent. So I appreciate your reconsideration tonight. And then I also, when we were talking about safety, you know, George brought up a good point. I mean, why are we looking at only the adjacent house? You know, the homeowner also, I mean, there should be a concern also about the carbon monoxide. And that's it. I appreciate your reconsideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Hello, everyone. Matt Craig, 146 Bellevue. They are my neighbors. Be transparent. I'm also on the Planning Commission. I recuse myself from the vote. But from my understanding, the reason why you do the 55 decibels, or if right now, not a single generator in the village aligns with that. If you Google quietest, I did my personal one, so quietest 22 kilowatt whole home generator, it's the one I bought. It says that one, which is what you said, George, the 55, 56 decibels, 23 feet. Yeah, so we installed this because my family has medication that needs to be refrigerated. So that's our whole reason for having this generator. We've rented one during the 4th of July when we had power outage. Police were called for that, which your officers were lovely, so thank you. So I'm just asking the other reason why the 55 decibel or 65 even, it changes with weather too. So if you have higher humidity, that raises the decibel level of your generator. Lower humidity lowers the decimal level. So it's very subjective of when you're measuring it as well. So I just wanted to put that out there, so I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, we have a motion to to not accept this zoning amendment and to send it back to the Planning Commission for further refinement. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10C, 2026 Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Cost Limits, Act 152 of 2011. Chief Evanson.
Okay, I'll try to get through this. I just brought myself up to speed on this yesterday. So council is scheduled to consider determining the option it desires to select for compliance with Public Act 152 of 2011 as amended for publicly funded employee health insurance cost limits for the upcoming medical benefit plan coverage year. The village's medical benefit plan coverage year runs from September 1st through August 31st. Public Act 152 as amended requires that local units of government select one of the following options for health cost contributions. The hard cap limit. The state of Michigan establishes hard cap limits each year based on the change in the medical care component of the U.S. Consumer Price Index for the most recent 12-month period. Attached to your packet is the determination for the current year. If council desires to comply with hard cap limits, no action is required, as this is a default option for local units of government under Act 152. Option number 2, 80-20 limit. Local units of government, by simple majority vote of the governing body, may opt to limit the local unit's health care contributions to 80% of the total cost of all medical benefit plans. Under this option, the village would pay 80% of health insurance benefit costs, and employees would be required to pay 20% of such costs. Number 3, opt out. Local units of government, by 2/3 majority, supermajority vote of the governing body, may opt out of the health insurance contribution limits. By opting out of the Act 152 limits, the village would be free to cover 100% of the costs of health insurance for employees, or may require employee contribution towards such costs at any level the council determines appropriate. Administration recommends that the village council continue with historical practice and adopt the hard cap limits on employee health care cost contributions as outlined in the attached State of Michigan's health care cost limitation determination. This document also provides on next year's limit. Joining us also today is Steve Matter. He is with Corporate Benefit Solutions, and he'll be able to answer any questions that the council may have regarding this action.
Thank you. Council. Mr. Dandelides.
I guess I'll go first. So I believe that we have enough unrest right now that I recommend that we take no action and go with the hard cap limits as we historically have done.
Is that a motion or a recommendation?
Well, I don't think we need a motion if there's
Oh, yeah,
no
true.
action.
Correct.
So I'm just saying that's where I am on this one.
Mr. Lamb?
Considering the circumstances, I agree with George. The, cut and everything. Right now, I think we can take a break for a little while. So we just go with it. I'll go along with, I was in favor of the hard cap previously also. There are very few benefits here at the village the employees get. A lot of complaints, a lot of grief, so
Other council comments? I also concur with my fellow council members that we stay with a hard cap limit as well, as is our historic practice, but even looking at the charts to the difference, and we're not talking about extreme amounts of difference in looking at the option 1 and option 2. So yeah, I'm in favor of staying with the hard cap limit. Any public comment? Apparently your job may be easy tonight.
It'd be easy, yeah.
If there's anything you would like to share with us, I'll give you that opportunity, but.
I would just, inform you that this is the first year that the village has exceeded hard cap. So it's just kind of forcing the issue here. And it's there for, the protection of the village from ultimate, unlimited costs. So historically, you guys have been below the hard cap, which has been fabulous, but rising healthcare costs have caused this to continue to accelerate. So you're not alone. A lot of municipalities are in the same place, and it's a troubling trend. But the good news about hitting hard cap, if you want to call it that, is that historically speaking, the hard cap increase, which is indexed on a totally different index than medical trend, has averaged about 2 to 3% over the last 5-6 years. So that's sort of what you can expect, barring some kind of legislation in Lansing, which was recently vetoed by the governor. So it's sort of it's for the short run, it's an okay place to be. And to all of your points, it's way less disruptive to the employees than moving to the 80-20.
Thank you. If there's no other council comments, then we can move on, since no action is needed, to item 10D, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Item 10D, request for preparation of disincorporation ballot proposal FAQ. Request from Dan Delitas. Chief Edmondson.
We have, the village administration has received a request from Councilmember Dan Alitas, discussion on possible preparation of frequently asked questions. Sheet, be prepared to answer the public questions about the disincorporation ballot proposal. Your Honor, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Dan Alitas with your permission.
Yep. Mr. Dan Delitas.
Thank you. So I'll be very honest up front. I'm really looking for some discussion. I don't have an answer to propose here, but I do think that there's a need, and I'm looking for some help from council on, what can we do in this situation. So at our July 22nd special meeting, we voted to receive and file the disincorporation petition and take no action, which put that on a path to a November election, which I think we're all on board with. I believe that there will be supporting documentation and documentation in non-support, as you would expect for any political thing going on the ballot. I believe that there's a need for an unbiased, call it an FAQ, a frequently asked questions, that somehow we could provide to give our residents an idea of what this really means, what it could really mean in November. I know that my neighbors are asking me now, hey, so we signed this petition, it's going to be on the ballot in November, what does that mean? And I can give them my interpretation, I can give them my opinion of what it means, but that may not be right. And I think that there's an opportunity here to get, and I'm going to suggest maybe even a third party, but some unbiased FAQ that we can provide all residents, an unbiased, this is what this could mean. And so I put together some ideas here of what I think that could include, and I'll just go through that so you can have an idea of the kind of things that are on my mind that we could provide information on. So upon affirmative vote, so let's say in November we have an affirmative vote, what are the next steps? What really will happen upon an affirmative vote? I don't know the answer to that. Folks are asking me. I'd like to get that answer and know that it's a correct answer and provide that. What is the disincorporation process? Very similar to the first one. Who is involved in that process? I don't know who's involved. Is it just the township? Is it the county? Do we have a kick at the can? I don't know. What level of involvement or input would the village have in the transition plan? What's included in the village's outstanding debt and who is responsible? Who determines how that would be levied? What are included as village assets and how are they valued, distributed, transferred, or sold? What services that are currently provided by the village would stay the same, change, or be eliminated? What would happen if the current village, what would happen to the current village employees? I think that's something we ought to be thinking about. What changes might be seen with the DDA? Is the DDA or the village responsible for DDA assets and liabilities? The list above isn't inclusive and meant to be examples of questions that at least folks are asking me. So I'd like to open it up to discussion, and like I say, I don't have the answer. I don't know how to do this necessarily. It could be we hire a third-party consultant to help us, somebody unbiased. Maybe it's a combination of legal and financial, so maybe the folks that do our auditing. But I'm looking for some input. I believe that there's an opportunity for us to put something together that's factual, unbiased, and just, here's what this could mean in November. So I'm looking for some help.
Mr. Lamb?
Are we following protocol by this open discussion without a topic or a motion? Or is there something we can do to relieve the rules?
Oh,
so we
well,
can discuss?
in his, the memo, and it does say motion to follow based on council discussion, so we can have this, I
We
think.
can have open discussion
Yes.
and follow our rules, okay. Yeah, that's a big topic, so, we may or may not be a mute issue, but I received an email from administration today that said, I received a question from a council member. There was follow-up from last meeting that the village attorney would advise us when the county election board was supposed to meet. The answer I received was, as of today, the meeting still has not been scheduled by the Oakland County Election Board, and the village attorney is monitoring every day. So I got official notice as an individual, not as a village councilman. I got official notice that the statutory period for consideration of the ballot proposal is August 11th at 4 p.m. So this notification from administration that it sounds to me like if no meeting has been scheduled and nobody knows what's going on, that the ballot proposal hasn't been put on the ballot and the opportunity to do so expires at 4 p.m. on August 11th. Okay. So this may become a mute issue. And I'm going to ask you, I don't know if it's appropriate at this time to speak, but the Oakland, I think it's time for this to be said. So tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m., the Sixth Circuit Court is hearing an emergency motion and action to force the ballot issue. The claim in the complaint is that the county has chosen to not place it on the ballot, and by statements of their employees. That's what the complaint says. That's not a fact. And so then the complaint, the judge saw fit to order an emergency hearing. That gives some credence to the complaint. So it's tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m., there'll be a hearing to decide whether this goes on the ballot. Okay? And if we had gone along with the actions of the village attorney and others waiting for the answer, the petition would have expired and died a death in the closet due to inaction. So, so it's necessary to sue the county to make their case for them, and then sue them against their case that they would not make. So that's very uncomfortable for me to announce that to you here. So it may be, I would still like to continue this discussion though, because we'll know tomorrow what the status of the ballot is, but I would still like to continue this discussion here tonight, so that apparently people have come to discuss this. So I am uncertain. I'm sorry, I exceeded this, the discussion, I exceeded my 4 minutes, but I wanted to make that public announcement there, you know. So apparently, there's some, in my mind, there's an issue as to whether or not the village can promote a unobjective viewpoint on any fact-finding mission. Okay, the reasons I say that is, you know, council members Some have advocated for letting the people speak. Other council members have openly opposed, which they're entitled to, openly opposed. But most particularly, and unfortunately, Mr. McCleary is not here. Mr. McCleary has spoken that he opposes the issue. So I'm nervous to ask administration that opposes the issue that could potentially cost their jobs to give an advocacy or to even give an impartial rendering of an opinion on whether the proposal would be in the best interests of the village or not. So I could only support an arbitrary, any information, either, there's two methods I would support. One is let the people have their day and have the village stay out of it. Or if the council decided they wanted any part of it, then it would have to be some kind of board or study group or committee, I hate to say that word ever in front of you guys ever again, that would hire or retain impartial third-party accountants or attorneys to examine the situation and report fairly. So that's all for me.
And perhaps the MML.
So MML. He said perhaps the MML. Other council comments? I think for me, I concur with some of the mixed feelings of, I think, from this list of, I know they're not, an exhaustive list or anything, but so many of them, I don't think we're going to be able to have any type of answer, actual concrete answer for, because we just don't know, because we're not the active agents in some of these things. Should the village disincorporate? I think a lot of it is out of our hands, and we don't have that choice in how it is handled, and we can speculate, I think. We can even speculate, oh, it could go path A, B, C, or D, but I think that some of it is just, we can't know in certain and in full how things will go. But I also concur with, I think in some ways, that this is a citizen-led petition. This is something that the village citizens get to decide. And so on that level, then, we stay out of it and we let the citizens decide. If it comes to, I agree with kind of shuddering with the word committee, but if it came to some type of committee, I'm also hesitant to spend any type of money on consultants from our side. One, we're trying to watch the budget. Two, I don't want it to come across as we are trying to fix a certain outcome one way or the other, even if we're hiring third-party consultants. And so my leaning would be to have us stay out of it. As uncomfortable as that is, like, I want all these answers as a citizen, as a resident myself of the village. I want all these answers. I want it in black and white before we go vote. But some of that, I don't think we can know. And is it our space to lead that? Or since this is a citizen's petition, I think it is the citizens' responsibility and right to own the process as well. Mr. Camperoni.
Well, I agree. We all voted to stay out of it, to leave it alone. And I think that's what we should do. There's no sense in putting the cart before the horse or anything like that. But just leave it alone. We're done. Let them decide what's going to happen. If somebody comes up next week or week after with a proposal that they would like us to do something, then maybe then. But at this point, we said no. So for me, it's just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. The petition has been done, it's been voted on by us. The only thing that would happen, potentially happen, is if people that wanted to keep the village, citizen-led, wanted to keep the village, and that they did research on the other side of that coin. But either way, it's out of our hands, and it's citizen-led for dissolution and citizen-led against it.
Mr. Papchak.
Yeah, I liked where you were going, George, because I do think there's a lot of questions we all have. I understand from the start, the process played out pretty much how I thought it was going to, right? We met in May. We thought it was putting the cart ahead of the horse because there wasn't even a petition. So we weren't going to investigate pros and cons and spend resources there. It would have been premature. The petition came, it was certified. I think now is the time. We're at a critical moment here these next few months, and it's a really big decision. I do think we decided to take no action in terms of forming a subcommittee to do all this work, because a lot of these questions would have been in that subcommittee work that we would have done if we took action there. We didn't take action, so I think it goes to a vote, and I think we do owe some education, but it also crosses my mind that there's so much distrust of administration, of council. We hear it. There's all, even if we did put answers out there, I'm not sure who would believe what. We could do our best to provide factual information, supported by attorneys on the process and all this, and I still don't know if people would believe it unless we went with this third-party neutral approach to be this unbiased expert, which of course would cost money. So having said all that, it goes against what I would want to do, because I would want to bring educational information forward, but based on where we're at right now, I think it's let it go to the vote if it's going to be on the ballot and see where we go. It did sound like in some of our discussions earlier, there is time after the vote, if it is voted to dissolve, to do the negotiations, to work out the details. It doesn't sound like it's a day one, everything is shut off. But I think based on where we're at now, I think, yeah, we probably stay out of it.
Ms. Mosier?
So I do agree, these are all questions people have asked me, probably all of you. But we don't even know until tomorrow if it's even going to be on the ballot. So to do anything prematurely, I think is just kind of a waste of time. And I agree, these questions have to be answered. If it goes to ballot, and if it passes, we then have as a council until December 1st if we want to discuss these things. But I also agree with Teresa, we said, and Alex, that we said we would, we'd be out of it, we'd stay out of it. So I know these are questions I have. I know all of you have the same questions. So I'm torn, but I think we need to see what happens tomorrow. I mean, it may all be done tomorrow, so we just need to wait. And then maybe we can have another discussion. I don't know.
Any other council comments? Any
Just the last thing. I don't know if everyone knows, but you can get any information you want on the village. There's an annual report with a schedule of all the books. You can request full accounting reports. The village manager's been quite helpful in providing information. Most of it's available digitally. So the information's available. Some of the issues, like people have said, some of the stuff is not determinable, but the information's there, and the village, will provide it because it's the FOIA public information. So if you want any information, you just come and ask for it and make your own decisions.
Chief?
And just to add on to what you're saying, so after the vote of taking no action, Mr. McCleary, the village manager, did meet with the department heads and reaffirmed that our staff will neither advocate for nor against. We will remain completely neutral, and we continue that direction from this point forward. And our employees, we're just helping our employees, just continuing providing the best service possible while this process sees its way out. But that's the direction we've been provided since the beginning.
Thank you. Public comment. Mr. Stephen, oh, Mr. Samet, then Mr. Stephen.
Hi, Steve Samet, 245 East Shadbolt. So I think people are under the impression that village taxes will just go away if the village is dissolved, and that's not really true. There will be a special taxing district set up by the township for all the debt that Lake Orion Village still has, and so we'll be paying that. There are a number of other things also. The police millage that we have will go away, but we don't currently pay the Oakland, the Lake Orion Township police millage for the sheriff, and so that will replace that.
Your Honor, I would like to request that we stay on topic for our rules
Yes.
and not engage in
I will
the
allow
exact thing that
the
we
opposite
asked.
side to
Well,
speak as well if
We're
they
not
want to.
making arguments, the specific purpose of this agenda
I can wait till
item
public comment at
Okay,
the
is
end.
not
you.
to make,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Steve. Thank you very much. I appreciate your
Mr. Stephen.
Harry Stephen, 311 North Shore. I am the only citizen who sat through the four-person committee on the subject of dissolving, representing council members and the village manager. Chief Edmondson was also in that meeting, I believe. And my point is, in the discussions, that if the petition was passed, that there would be only supplied real and accurate information to the public. Things that could be fitting into that arena would be audit material. We all take a look at our balance sheets and things that we have that are in their packet every time. Those are factual type things, and those could be made available to the public. It's the responsibility of a voting person to be aware of all the facts that they can to make their decision of what they want to do. And so, in order to do that, the facts have to come out. And I would suggest that it would be appropriate, once the ballot question is proposed and assumed tomorrow, that it would be appropriate to put together packets of information that are absolute accurate. Such things as audit. Those are signed by professional people that give us the financial status of our community as of the close of business last year. We don't have that new information for the new year, but that's as good information as we have. And that pretty well identifies our financial situation for that. As far as the political implications in that, we can't speak to that. We don't know those things, but we do know where we are financially, and that should be made public. Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize. Hearing aids don't like when I get up. So, Robert Reard, 328 South Broadway. This action was brought by the citizens, and so the council should step aside on any idea that, somebody could have their own opinion on everything, okay? I can tell you that I'm not going to put anything out that's not a true fact. We can't argue about the police or whatever, because whether we just incorporate or we stay, the police still may not stay. Same with the DPW, whatever. I mean, I've told you this last time, and I believe this. Disincorporate or not, you guys have a chance to bring us into a better financial situation by, I'm sorry, eliminating our police, since our 2.99 mils doesn't cover our police department, and we got to have 40% of their budget coming out of the regular general fund. If we pay 0.1% more to the sheriff's department, it's financially more sound. Our DPW, we don't really need our own DPW. I mean, it's an argument anyways, at some particular
Teresa.
point.
Yeah.
Rob, it's,
That-
I think it's a,
Okay.
please don't make arguments
All
on
right, that's
the-
fine.
on the petition.
Okay,
at
I'm
this
just
time.
saying that it's, the citizens brought it, and the citizens should be the one to handle it, and if somebody thinks we're telling a lie, just let me know. Fair enough?
My name's Scott Gabriel. I live up on Joslin. I'm a township resident. I came because this will affect me, well, maybe, depending. To keep it very narrow, as Mr. Lamb spoke about, on Friday, the township had an informative meeting about the fire and police millage. It was specifically stated that they would have absolutely no input as a committee or as a council. They would put the facts out, and that was it. Some people made some suggestions that were very good, and we kind of all said, yeah, we should do that. And it was stated by the treasurer that that would have to be bought, paid for, installed, and used by citizen committee. Absolutely no involvement from the council, to Ms. Buck's point. Just putting it out there, that's what they did. They're kind of in the same situation, losing, the villages. So they have taken a very hands-off approach to that.
Thank you.
Rosemary Ford, 225 North Broadway. I guess I need some clarification because I'm trying to understand. From what was said, I took it that a councilperson said that he got a notice about this issue tomorrow where they would determine what they're going to do. Why would he get it and no one else? Did all of you receive that same notice, is my question. And a point was brought up about administration, and I'm assuming they're referring to the village administration, but I'm not certain. And then it was brought up that somebody is suing. Who's suing? Who's suing because of this happening? So I think that would help with all of us if we got a clarification, because it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if when you're referring to administration, are you speaking of village administration? Or are you talking about the county administration? And as far as the notice, I would assume all of you got it, but when it was spoken to me, it sounded like that said person was the only one that knew. So I hope none of you were taken by surprise at that. And then again, I'd like to know who's doing the suing, because it seems like if it's something for the county to decide, and I could be wrong, but it's just like they're a step above us. So do they have the final say, or is there something we can come back on? But again, I'd like to know who's doing the suing. So thank you.
Other public comment?
Hi, Lee Marriott, 191 Park Island. I guess I'm a little confused, and I probably missed something, but at the village meeting that we had regarding the petition on July 23rd, we came, and the petition had the 500 signatures. You met closed door with the attorney. You came back, and it was explained to us very clearly, or I thought very clearly, that you could vote like 3 different ways. One was a no action. One was to appoint a disincorporation commission, and I noted that another one was to do the Oakland County Court appropriated something. You all voted unanimously to do the no action, so how or why did this go to Oakland County Circuit Court? And what information do they have? Who gave them the information? And why was it not made public to any of the village residents? You can't answer that?
We don't discuss
Okay.
during the public comment, no. So hand over here, go here, and then in the back.
Gasper Vitale, 320 Park Island. So the questions that everyone's wondering about, what's going to happen if it does get disincorporated, are all valid questions. I wonder them all myself. But I think more importantly is, this meeting or this decision with the judge tomorrow.
that's the first I heard about it. And what are they actually making a decision on? So if we've taken all the appropriate steps, the council has voted no to no action, went to the township, they validated all those certifications. Now, a week's gone by with nothing happened, right? And we're down to one day to be able to make a decision if it's actually going to be on the ballot. So the questions are important, but I think the questions aren't important until we know if it's even going to be on the ballot. What are the specific decisions that they're doing tomorrow to make that, put that on the ballot? That's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Don Connery, 745 Central Drive. Same questions Mrs. Ford asked. Who instigated the litigation that's going to occur tomorrow, and what's the outcome supposed to be? And as importantly, Mr. Dendelitis had asked at the last meeting that he'd like to have a motion to steer the village law firm to turn around and make sure this happens. And that gentleman said he would do that. Well, he said he was following up with the county and he'd see where we're at. And he was under the impression it was 2 weeks. Everybody else said it's August 11th, which is tomorrow. Did he do anything? Has there been any action by him? Have we been well represented by this law firm if they know there's a date and they didn't have any action? Or are they going to say that they weren't officially asked to do so and therefore stood by without informing any of us of tomorrow's date, August 11th? So, and the question is, who instigated the litigation, and are we getting our value out of the law firm who knew very well that the entire council wanted this to move forward and be put on the ballot and didn't take any action that I can see to have done so? Lastly, depending on how it goes tomorrow, is anybody on this village council now going to take a look at it? What's it going to take to have a special election to have this done if we miss the opportunity to put it in the general election? So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Yeah. Now, I might be mistaken here. I might be. But it sure sounds to me like a fox got in the hen house and somebody squeaked a little secret in a mouse's ear. And then only one of our council members gets notified of this. I thought no meant no. We've all said it. We all know what we wanted to do. Who got these people to come in here and say, oh, we're going to have this little secret election? Can you answer that? I find it awful funny that Mr. Lamb is the only one notified about this. While all these people are sitting here wondering what the hell is going on. And the rest of you can't even answer. But Mr. Lamb, he sure knew that was coming. How did that happen, Mr. Lamb? Can you explain that to us? Can you explain why you were the only one notified?
Please direct your comments to the chair.
Well, can you explain why Mr. Lamb was notified and he was the only one notified? What's going on with this little secret hush-hush stuff where stuff keeps popping up, coming out from under the woodwork? Where did this come from? Do you think these people knew about this until now? I think that's a pretty crappy thing to do to our village and to the citizens and the 500 people plus who signed those petitions. You people really have to study your Constitution because you seem to forget you work for us. And one way or another, this is going to get straightened out. We will if we have to do it a fourth time. We'll get them petitions done. We've told you what we want. It doesn't take Einstein or Sherlock Holmes to point these things out. The people have voted. You said you weren't gonna do anything about it, you were gonna let it go through. Somebody didn't let it go through. Something's going on here. I think there's a little something sneaky going on, and when the village finds out who it is and who did it, they're not gonna be very happy. But it really won't matter because they understand that chances are the people that were involved in it won't be here later anyway. Because like I said, we've done it 3 times. If we have to, we'll do it 4.
Three.
Anyone else for public comment?
Yes. I just want to say that I agree with Mr. Dandelides. I don't really want to vote on something that I have a lot of questions and no answers. I mean, it's kind of like voting ignorantly. I mean, why bother at that point? And a lot of people have a lot of questions. I know people that signed that petition didn't even read it. And if I remember correctly, I thought Mr. Lamb was the one that started this whole thing by having a committee to discuss the pros and cons, and then saying we're not going to do anything unless we get a petition signed. Well, the petition wasn't for the discussion, right? Like that kind of backfired. But now we need to have the discussion. So it's just such a mess.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? I'll close public comment. Any other council comments? Mr. Lamb?
After listening to the citizens, I'm gonna clear the air, and I'm going to share some personal information that is not affiliated or related to the village council or any actions, decisions, or discussions. Mr. Rob Reard and I, on Thursday, filed a complaint in the Oakland County Circuit Court as citizens and electors of the village of Lake Orion to request something called mandamus, which is to force the village, not the village, the county elections commission and the county clerk to place the petition on the ballot. So we have intentionally not made a big public nuisance out of it, but it became clear to us during the course of all this questioning on your part about what's going on. I read to you what the report from the village attorney was this evening, that they had no idea if there was going to be a meeting on the ballot. And so our claim is that we inquired with them on numerous occasions, and they told us that it would not be on the ballot. And the reason it wasn't going to be on the ballot was because of the Home Rule City Act. These are all stated in the complaint. They're public knowledge. The name of the case is Lamb versus Lisa Brown. And it's actually Lamb and Reard against the county clerk, the county elections commission, and the county elections director. After some great struggle, we are going to, an emergency hearing tomorrow morning at 8:30 so that we can try to get your petitions on the ballot prior to the deadline at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So I was not going to involve the council in that, but Mr. Dandelides brought up this action item on the agenda, and the citizens wanted to come up here, and I didn't want everyone to spend a tremendous amount of time belaboring this issue until after tomorrow. So I had not planned to even inform you of this, because it's my personal matter, acting on my own behalf, but that, anybody have any questions there?
I think we'd like to keep our discussion focused to this agenda item on request for preparation for this incorporation ballot proposal FAQ, but thank you for just the clarification for the citizens who are wondering. Any other discussion on that request?
So I'll just close it off. I appreciate the discussion around the FAQ. I apologize. I'm an engineer, and I make decisions throughout my career based on data and fact. I fear that we're heading towards an emotional election in November, and my goal was to try and put, some unbiased facts together. So I appreciate everybody hearing me out. I'm cool with where we're at.
So moving on to item number 11, call to the public. So anyone wishing to address the council can do so. 4 minutes. Mr. Samet.
Let me just start by saying I think I was on subject as much as Mr. Lamb was just on subject. So I don't appreciate being shut down. So what I was talking about is things that we will still have if the village is disincorporated. We'll still have the same water and sewer bill. Orion Township is not going to accept the debt that we have for the lake pumping stations for sewage, and so we'll still be paying that bill. There'll be a special taxing district for all the rest of the bond debt that the village has that will also be on our tax bill now. Our garbage pickup will change also. I hear lots of township people complaining about I can only have 1 can for garbage, 1 can for recycle, and if I have anything else, then they're going to charge me. We have a great garbage service here in the village, and we can put out virtually anything that we want to. The cost of pensions for village employees will still be on us as part of the special taxing district. If the village is dissolved, the DDA most likely will be dissolved at the same time. We'll lose the tax capture that we have that remains downtown in Lake Orion rather than going to elsewhere in the county. So I just wanted to point out some of the things that, will still be there. Will your taxes go down? Most likely, but not as much as people think that they will. Thank you.
Thank you. Anywhere else for call to the public?
So I kind of was going to leave this to another meeting, but the reason we have to go to court is because our lovely village manager and our lovely village attorney were insubordinate, and they actually went and met with the other attorneys and the committee, the election committee, okay? And they brought up this charter, home rule village. So this is something you have to think about when they're back, whether they should find another job or not, okay? But if they weren't insubordinate, they broke the law. Simple as that. We wouldn't have to go to court right now. As far as the information he just spewed, he's pretty much incorrect. Your water and sewer bill, the basic charge will stay the same, but you will lose whatever the difference is between what the township charges their residents and what we charge our residents, which is a difference that pays our DPW. The only, from what I already know, is we have enough money to cover our other debts. So there won't be any other special assessments, okay? And I wish people would just quit spewing information they don't really have fact base, okay? I'll back everything I say, and it will be 100% correct. But I can tell you that you're talking about, adding more assessments to people for the roads. You're just going to bankrupt a lot of these people, okay? Just like their water bill. And so when they're delinquent and you're not getting money, who's going to pay the bond? So we really need to think about whether we are not capable, if we're not capable of getting it on the ballot or actually just incorporate, we could certainly bring ourselves down to something close to that. We don't need this building. I've already talked to Barnett. You can meet over there. There's no problem with that. Okay, you can, we can really bring ourselves down to be, if we end up still being a village, a more affordable one. And this is what you guys have this opportunity to think about in the next 90 days to solve a lot of these problems, so if we do disincorporate, the township just doesn't come in here and do whatever they want. You've already controlled the situation, but that's all up to you guys. Thank you.
Mr. Stephen?
Harry Stephen. Just a couple of observations. I believe today we were all honored with mail, our water bills, our sewer bills and that. I looked at the envelope and we're paying 70 some odd cents for the postage on that. Simple bulk mail to a single area code can be handled for 45.3 cents per posting. So I would suggest that the way the mailing of our bills, since we're going to do it once every month, that it would make sense to take advantage of bulk mailing as opposed to just mailing like you'd stick a stamp on it. So I think there's a savings. Second observation is that we now have a coverage for the village manager starting on the 11th through the 21st. Today is the 10th. Where's our village manager? It starts tomorrow for the substitute. So thank you. Just an observation.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, we have someone on village council conspiring with the original petitioner to disincorporate the village? That's a little weird. And then I wanted to ask another question, and I forgot what it was.
Anyone else? Ms. Ford?
Rosemary Ford, 225 North Broadway. Thank you for clarifying as to the notice as far as this court date. But my concern is, while they said they did it as a private citizen, which I guess they have a right to do, you also, to me, it seems like you recuse yourself if you're on the council because of the concern of how the public will take that comment. And yes, we do have rights as citizens, but I think in that sense, because there were two of them, maybe just the one could have done it. And my other comment is somebody mentioned about our police. And as you all know, I am for this village. I like the services they offer. And people mention the township police. But as we all know, the township had two proposals, fire and safety, which involves the village, and the police. Both of them failed. So they have to go at it again because the funds for those are done by those, I don't know if they call them, believe they call them millages, could be bonds, someone correct me. But they have to go at it again. And that's something you have to think of. They've got some issues that they have to deal with. And it's not too pleasant. When you're dealing with Oakland County sheriffs, and where I feel for the township, is that Oakland County Sheriff does a great job, but this is the problem. Because Oakland County controls it, as a community, if you contract them, you have no control. As attested to last year, when they blindsided the township and came in and said, hey, this is your new rate for the township police, and they had no choice. They can't negotiate. They're just like done deal. They had to scratch and come up with the money from somewhere. So those are things that you have to think about. So I might say it again a couple more times before November, but it's the Joni Mitchell song. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? You pay paradise to put up a parking lot. So I think that those of us that have lived here a long time, we take for granted the services that we have. And we need to recognize that if you like those services, they're going to be gone, folks. So thank you.
Mr. Gabriel, and then we'll head back.
I don't know what to feel that you know my name. Scott Gabriel, 941 Joslin, Township President. Again, the lady previous to me is correct. Township did vote down the millages as presented. They are representing them, if you haven't heard. It's going to be a two-part for the fire, which will involve all of you. First part will be as is, as what they're paying, as what we're paying right now. Second part, which you get to vote on, is some improvements. So you have a choice of continuing as is, or we can vote and get some improvements. That will be up to the citizens. If we do not get those millages passed, there is no funding source. The entire budget for the township, if you fired every single employee, sold off the GLCAC, sold off Pine Tree, sold off Camp Agawam, would not give you 1 full year of police and fire coverage. And then you still have nothing. I was a fireman. I was a volunteer fireman. We did not have a millage. The fire department would go off. We'd show up with 3, 4 people, because that's how many people had to show up at the station. You had to come from your job or wherever you were. We had a 25-year-old pumper, because that's all we could afford. It was cast off from the Navy. I personally was at a fire, squirting fire on some poor citizen's house, and the hose stopped because we blew the pump. Now, I'm not saying this to scare anybody, it's just the reality. Fire equipment has a finite shelf life. It needs to be replaced. And you guys can look up, there's some Senate hearings with Senator Warren and a few other people. The price of a fire truck has gone from $600,000 5 years ago. The exact same truck, make, model, is now $1.2 million. So it costs to have government. So yes, we will all have to pay that. Secondly, I think you guys need to think about what governance is. Every single one of these people in front of you is a volunteer. They sit here to serve the community. I hope every one of them gets voted out so they can all go to Belize for a month. It is a corporation. This is the incorporated village of Lake Orion. You are corporate citizens. If you vote out your board, you are still the corporate citizens. You own this village. So that means all the rights, responsibilities, and debts. Thank you very much. Thank you, Council. I've been coming up here for years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Back.
Good afternoon. I hope you guys had a nice day. And the weather's going to clear, and it's going to the sun is going to shine on us again. In 1859, that's when
Could you please state your name for us?
Oh, I'm sorry. Paul Montgomery, 304 Park Island Drive. In 1859, that's when the village got incorporated. 10, 13 years ago, there was a bond released to replace the water pipes. That's been done. Now we have these pumps that need to be replaced. I would think that the controller / bookkeeper would have a line sheet that would show what our debts are and what our assets are. I don't think the citizens know that. Maybe some of them do. Anyway, bottom line is everybody feels they're being double dipped. I don't know if this is working or not. It is? Okay. Our forefathers, when they came on the other side of the pond, we had a Boston Tea Party. And the Boston Tea Party, it was taxes with no representation. I think they want to have one community because it says the United States of America. We need to be united. I'm quoting our forefathers. There's got to be a way to simplify things, make things more economical, or if it does come down to it, abolish the village. When you say abolish the village, though, people have a tendency, they have a tendency to get their imagination getting farther ahead than their thoughts are. It's not like they're going to wipe out the village. It would still be here. You have a downtown development authority. The downtown development authority would probably merge into the township because they're going to want to have the township and the village to complement one another. I hope I'm making sense. I only got one smile. It won't crack our faces. All right. I've said my piece.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Others for call to the public.
And equipment that you buy for fires, policemen, and everything else, a lot of it's technology.
Anyone else for call to the public?
No. I had a sneaking suspicion. Now, my name is Donald Kindred. My name is Donald Kindred. For all those who don't know me, I live right over here on West Elizabeth Street. I live in the Poland House, the first house that was here.
Please speak in the
a
microphone
long
and
time
address
ago.
your comments to the chair. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, I had a sneaky suspicion something was fishy here. Something just didn't seem right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 people conspiring to do something is a conspiracy. Now, 1 person, 2 persons, and you can't tell me that that 1 person that's married to this person didn't know what was going on. How is it that every time we point something out, nothing gets done? We try to point out the fact that you guys like to cover things up. Well, I guess it was very clear that Mr. Lamb pointed out what had just happened here to all these people, that we had something sneaky going on here. Now, I think if we lose and it doesn't end up on the ballot, we could say that there's a conspiracy RICO act going on here because there's 3 people conspiring to get with a judge, to get with an attorney, to have this emergency meeting when it was already clarified that all of you were not going to do anything to try and stop this. What's wrong with this picture? Is it just me? Am I the only one that sees this? Why do we have to, why is there no transparency? Why is it all the FOIAs that I put in and my friends put in get jacked around with and we got to jump through hoops, we got to pay more money? When we filed indigency on our request, things like this, all these little hidden things. I don't get it. The people don't get it. This is exactly why we asked for the village to be disbanded into the Charter Township of Oakland County. There is too much sweeping it under the rug crap. Don't tell the people crap. Let's hide this over here. Let's hide this over there. Nobody will know. We'll go do this and we won't have to say a word. We'll go sneak in our little room. We'll talk about this. We'll take out the cameras. Nobody will know what we're talking about anymore. And then we can get away with anything we want. That's what we're seeing happen here. Even if you don't like it, we see it. This is exactly why we had the petition signed. And like I said, if these fail, we'll do a 4th. We're tired of the games. Nobody wants to come out and say, this is what's going on. They want to hide it. Why do we have an officer sitting in the back of this room? when he should be out on patrol. We have the chief of police sitting right here in this room. He has a radio on his side. If there's an emergency in this room, which I've never seen anybody other than me get carried out of here, all 120 pounds of me.
Your 4 minutes are up, Mr. Kindred. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Lee Marriott, 191 Park Island. Okay, I guess just to clarify my head again, what Mr. Reigart said was that even after we had the meeting again back on the 23rd, you all voted unanimously, thank you, for the no action. We submitted the petition, the village attorney was here, you listened to his advice, closed-door meeting. After that, it was voted to be put on the ballot and let the village residents decide. But somehow, the people that we pay to represent the best interests of the village, our village manager, and apparently the attorney, took it upon themselves to make it a appearance at the Oakland County Court. So all of this litigation started? Isn't that some type of a conflict of their employment agreement?
Yep.
Thank you.
Christina Reard, 328 South Broadway. I just want it clarified. It's my family who went out and got most of the petitions and everything else. You guys did what you said. You said no action. There were employees that went behind the back and went to the circuit court or the county or whatever and opened a bag of worms. They went insubordinately and went behind your back. And that's why, as private citizens, some people went to try to make sure this got on the ballot. Nobody did anything shady by getting it out there and trying to get this on the ballot because this is what the people spoke and wanted. So some of us private citizens have been going there to make sure it gets on the ballot. Thank you.
Good.
Anyone else for call to the public? Seeing none, I will close call to the public. Moving on then to DDA Executive Director comments. Our director is not here today. So item 13, council comments. Mr. Lamb.
Thanks a lot. So here on the village council, I voted to not take action on the disincorporation petitions. That means as a village councilman, I said that I was going to leave it to the people. And as a village councilman voting, representing you, and sitting up here, I'm fully disclosing to you that that's what I'm doing. And as far as conspiracies go, I'm probably the most open person that in the village. Okay, I don't play games, I don't keep secrets, and I don't do conspiracy. But what I did state publicly was that if there ever came another petition before this village, okay, I would support the rights of the people to vote on it 100%. The last petition, 2 years ago, the village council took legal action to stop a citizen's petition. I voted no. But 4 other council members voted yes. So that means that the council approved litigation against the citizens. I swore I would do everything in my power to never let that happen again. So as you can see, the result is there is a hearing tomorrow. The village is not involved. The village attorney is not involved. The village manager is not involved. The township attorney is not involved. No one at the township at all is involved. They've all sent emails to disclose that none of them are involved. So the only ones involved are Oakland County and some private citizens. And through the private citizens, 400 some petitioners are being represented. If they hadn't taken action, the ballot question would have died in the dark. Even though I got an email today that said that the village attorney was monitoring things and would let us know when they were going to make a decision. Okay. So, but I'm not making accusations, but I'm saying what the facts are. Those are the facts. And then one other fact, so that's enough information for me. The one other thing that I heard tonight that's not true, in the state law that establishes the Downtown Development Authority, it specifically states that if something happens to the village, that the DDA will go to become part of the next organizational government unit, which means it will automatically become part of the township. The DDA will not go away. Now, it will suffer the loss of the millages captures. So the DDA gets about 25 mills out of the taxes in its district. It will lose 12 mills approximately if the village were disincorporated. So that would mean, and then it would gain 3 mills from the new police millage if the township's police millage is at 3 mills. So it's kind of a complicated, they're going to get a budget cut. That's it, they're not going away. Their programs will still be here. The lumberyard project will stay, but it will be up to the township at that time if that ever happens to take care of that. So those are just facts I'm clarifying, and it was beautiful. I went and sat on my porch today. I sat on my computer Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doing pro forma personal legal documents. Okay, I don't know how many hours that was. Then we fought off an attack by the county attorney to dismiss the case. I took 8 hours and prevailed on that today, so there will be a hearing tomorrow. So, thank you.
Mr. Camperoni.
Answer some questions.
All right, well, I was always taught if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. So, but I'm going to blow that to hell. I'm not real happy with this one next to me, and we'll let the ethics committee figure out if he should even be here, up here. He needs to be out there with all you guys. It's proper, more proper in my eyes. On a lighter note, the Sick Car Show coming up next week. It's going to be the best. Downtown is going to be jammed full of hot rod cars, stinky racing fuel, burning tires, all that fun stuff. It'll probably bring in, I'm going to guess, 1,000, 1,200 people, you know, to take care of our restaurants and enjoy Lake Orion for what it is. We had a sewer leak out on Bellevue Island, not on the island, just on Bellevue. It blew up, and the DPW, they were right there on it. You know, I made a call, and it probably wasn't 7 minutes, they were on it. And I do appreciate that, because some of the spill did go into the lake. I think they said 5 gallons or something got in the lake. But without them and without their prompt response, it could have been a lot worse. So I do appreciate what you guys have done. And I appreciate the chief for filling in for the next week. With that just said, Woodward, the cruise is coming up, and it's going to be a good week. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I don't have much. You know, I think people know where I stand on the village. I love the services that we get, but petition's a petition, and we voted to get going on it. So it's somewhat news to me that it wasn't gonna, or the possibility existed, because I want the issue solved, one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dandelides.
One comment, or I guess clarification I wanted to make. Somebody said something about the village manager not being here tonight and possibly being off early on vacation. I just want everybody to know that the village manager experienced a loss in his family. I think it was yesterday, and that's why he's not here tonight. So I just want folks to know that his absence tonight is for personal reasons of a loss of a very close relative. So, thanks.
Ms. Mosher.
Well, like I say every time, I'm so happy to see a lot of people here. And I also want to say that as a private citizen, just because I am on the council, I'm not, wait, let me start. My name is not on the court case tomorrow. Just because I'm married does not mean, not that I don't agree with it, but I want to clarify that. As a private citizen, I think that we should be able, if something is going on in the village and we live in the village, just because we're on the council, should not mean that we cannot pursue it. Because that would, that wouldn't be fair, because we are citizens. And if something goes on in the village, we should be able to speak as private citizens, and as council members, but not when we're doing private matters. We are private citizens. I am a private citizen. So if I choose to do something, it is because I'm a private citizen. I sit up here in the council, I listen to everybody. We don't, we volunteer our services basically, but we do it because we're doing it for you. But we're doing it because all of us are citizens too, but we listen to all of you, we hear you, and we appreciate all of your comments and coming up and coming here. So, I don't want to beat it to death, but I'm a private citizen, and if there's something I don't like, I should be able to speak about it as a private citizen. Thank you.
Mr. Papachek.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, I think we're at a really, really critical moment for the village. These next few months, we've talked about it. It's one of the biggest votes in years, I think. And I think we're getting a sense for how that process goes, the history of what's gone on the last few weeks. The people spoke with the petition, loud and clear. The petition was certified. Council said, yeah, we're going to let it go. The township said, check, certified, we're going to let it go. I don't know why there's a disconnect with the County Election Commission. There's a deadline tomorrow, and I don't know what could get in the way for stopping it from getting on the ballot. But I guess we'll see, we'll find out. To me, that's step one. It blows my mind that this is what the people want, this is what the council voted on. The township said thumbs up, and now the county, I don't know, I get the process, the ballot comes from the county. I don't know why in the world there would be a holdup and why it wouldn't go to vote. But we'll find out. So that's step one. Step two then, like we talked about, there's a lot of questions out there. So I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I take it upon myself to educate myself and try to get as many answers so I'll know how to vote. For me, I encourage everybody else to do the same. I don't know if it's questions from administration, reach out, questions from others that you trust. But we've got a few months here to do as much homework as possible because, like I said, this is a consequential decision here. And it's the people's decision. If it's on the ballot, we'll hear what the people want to do, and we'll certainly respect whatever decision is made. So that's what I've got.
Thank you. Just a couple things. On a different note, everybody's thinking, you walk into the store and there's all the back-to-school things out already. But we still have a few more weeks of summer, so take your kids down or your teens to Children's Park on Friday night. There's a teen movie night at Children's Park. They're showing How to Train Your Dragon. I believe there's a free pizza slice for the teens as well. So if they're looking for something to do this Friday night, bring them out there. We'll have another council meeting before that, but Dragon on the Lake as well. So I know different places are looking for volunteers for Dragon on the Lake. So go on out and support the Arts Center at the end of this month as well. But get out and enjoy the rest of the summer. We live in a beautiful place. We live in a great place to enjoy the weather. So whether that's volleyball over at Greens Park or hanging out on the lake or strolling through our parks downtown or eating at any of the restaurants, continue to enjoy the rest of this summer as we think about back-to-school season and everything else coming up. So with that, item number 14, village manager comments. So Chief Evanson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few things for clarification that I heard in the public comments. Officially, the village administration has not heard anything from the county one way or another, so I actually gained more information based on some of the comments here today. We have not, whether it's going to be on the ballot or if there's issues at all. In July, the village council voted to take no action. They didn't vote to put the item on the ballot. They took a vote of no action to clear the pathway for it to be on the vote. So the village council did our part. Administration did our part. It went to the township after that. The township did their part. And it progressed all the way to the Oakland County Committee, which is the 3 separate phases of the petition into a ballot vote. So everything from this level, from administration, we're not advocating for nor against. We are taking no action at the council's direction, and will continue to take no action at the council's direction not for or against this. And that's also, from my understanding, the lawsuit or the litigation that is tomorrow is not involving the village administration, the council, or the township, which means we've cleared the pathway and we've done what we're supposed to do by taking no action through this entire process. So I want to make that clear because I've heard a lot of comments that are to the contrary. The other thing is the village manager also has prepared a village manager comment. He said that once he's able to get to a computer, he will forward just a weekly report of some things from this last week that he had prepared that he hadn't had a chance to send over to me. So with that, it's back to you, Your Honor, and I have no further comments.
Thank you. We have no closed session items for tonight, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion and lots of support. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.